So welcome everyone. Thank you for logging on and joining us for the Hawaii Homeownership Center orientation webinar. I'm Dale. I'm from the Hawaii Homeownership Center, and if you look in your chat box, Michael McCreary is also with the center, and he's going to be helping us out with the questions in the chat box, and he might be even putting in some information for you folks. So to access your chat function, if you're using a desktop or laptop computer, look in your meeting controls, and right where it says chat with that icon, you can click on that and you can join us. If you have a private question, you can actually use the drop-down box to send something directly to me, for instance. If you're using a mobile device, tablet, or smartphone, you can tap on the screen and access the controls. And very similarly, you can access that chat function. So we'd like to start off our workshop this evening with a question. So why do you want to become a homeowner? It could be for many reasons. It could be I'm tired of paying rent. It could be, I want to start buying and building some equity and perhaps leave it for my kids when they're older, or maybe it'll allow me the opportunity, that equity that builds over time to assist my kids later on when they want to purchase. It could be many reasons. And a lot of people look at home ownership as sometimes it's something that you just kind of expect to happen, right? You figure you grow up, you go to school, you get married, and you buy that nice 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, and you live happily ever after. But in Hawaii, with Hawaii prices, that can be very challenging, especially with our Hawaii prices. So we like to start off with there's no place like home. So we're going to be talking about home ownership preparation, talk about the Hawaii Home Ownership Center, and I'll give you a brief background about the Hawaii Home Ownership Center. We'll talk about some common barriers to home ownership that many Hawaii families face. We're going to talk about the purchase process and how the homebuyer education and financial coaching actually fits into that process. We'll look at some factors that you may want to consider if you're currently renting and thinking about becoming a homeowner. And we'll talk about the first steps, and then we'll conclude with a short video called Making It Happen. So preparation, homebuyer education, and coaching. Now, I may interchange the words coaching and counseling. Now, the homebuyer education and coaching industry is working towards referring to it as coaching, but it's basically the same thing. The reason why they're working towards referring to it as coaching is counseling kind of has a negative connotation. So if I interchange the two, they mean the same thing. At the Hawaii Homeownership Center, we provide homebuyer education and financial coaching to assist families in their preparation for buying their first homes. Now, the center will help anyone that is interested in becoming a homeowner, but we mainly focus on first-time homebuyers. And looking at some of our stats, about 90% of our families are first-time homebuyers. And in the homebuyer education classes, and it consists of about 9 hours of education, we're going to help you to learn the home buying process. So we're going to take you through the home buying process through the classes. It's not one day where we go 9 hours straight. We break it up into sections where you can manage that information, because ultimately we want to fill you with the information so you'll be able to use that information when you actually go through it yourselves. And in class, we're going to start off very basic from money management, understanding credit as it applies towards mortgage qualification, learning about mortgages and the different types of mortgages, how to shop for my loan, learning about real estate and the purchase contract. How do I protect myself if I want to get out of contract, and how do I use those contingencies to protect my deposits So that way, if I cancel my contract, I get all of that deposits back. And then the different types of insurances associated with the home purchase. So within the classes, we're going to be taking you through the home buying process. And the idea is you're going to be following this fictional family as they go through that home buying process. And when we're ready to do this for real for ourselves, it's not going to be just tell me what to sign. And we're just nodding our heads and not understanding anything that the professionals are giving us as far as information. And to be honest, my first purchase back in '96, I didn't know what I was signing. I was trying to read everything, but it was overwhelming. You know, you're getting paperwork from your loan officer. You're getting paperwork from your real estate agent. I'm getting paperwork from the escrow officer. And I'm trying to read everything, and basically it said, you know what, just tell me where to sign. In fact, if there weren't those, those posted arrows, I wouldn't know where to sign. So it is probably a stressful situation, and it's probably the biggest purchase in your life up until that point. So the Homeownership Center is there to educate families about that process so we make better decisions that can impact us not only at purchase, but also so we can sustain home ownership. Now, we place a heavy foundation on money management because realizing any financial goal starts with good money management and the importance of knowing the difference between affordability versus qualification. Now, we all have an amount that we feel comfortable paying for housing every month, whether it's for rent or whether it's for a mortgage. We have that comfortable number or a comfortable amount we're willing to spend. Qualification is I can speak to a lender, I can provide them information about my finances, and they're going to basically say, based on your income, based on your debt, I can qualify for an X loan amount. And by the way, there's a monthly payment. Now, what I feel comfortable paying as compared to what a lender says I can qualify for, those two monthly payments might be totally different. And if I go shopping based on what the lender says I can qualify for, I can guarantee you 500,000 looks better than 350. And we will convince ourselves that, I can live pretty long on potato chips and cookies, and I'll do whatever it takes for a little while. But the key to home ownership is you buy what you can afford, knowing full well this may not be the dream house, but I can afford the payment. Because purchasing that property is only half the challenge. The other 50%, the more important 50%, is being able to keep what I purchased. So again, very important to understand affordability versus qualification. So money management is the first class of the series of 5 modules that you'd be taking. The second module is credit, because the reality of buying a house in Hawaii is more than likely we're going to have to borrow money. And credit plays a crucial role in mortgage qualification. So it's understanding what I can do to improve my credit so I can not only qualify for the best interest rates, but lower my costs when I actually get that mortgage. So those two components, money management and understanding credit, form the foundation of financial literacy, and very important when we look to purchase our homes. Now, part of the center's role in the home buying process is to search out resources. You may qualify for down payment assistance, government grants, mortgage credit certificate programs. And depending on the program funds, each program will have their own income qualifications, or maybe another phrase might be income restrictions. So each program, depending on your income per household size, and depending on which county you live in, there's going to be an area median income or income restriction for your household size. And they'll vary. There's a misconception that a lot of people think I got to be really low income to qualify for any assistance. It depends on where those funds are coming from. Because county programs, yeah, the income limits might be on the lower side. State programs, it could be much greater. And I'll just give you an example. So like here in Honolulu, if you're making maybe mid to upper 60,000, as an individual, you might qualify for the city and county program. A state program, if you're living on Oahu, that income limit goes up into the 140, mid 40s, 100 mid 40s thousand on annual income. So they can change or they can vary drastically. So I guess the idea is don't disqualify yourself. Now, some of these programs, they have requirements. Some may require a 5% down payment from the borrower. Some may have minimum credit score requirements, like 675 or 700 or better credit scores. Some programs have restrictions. And what I mean by restrictions, I want you to think about what is your plan for this first purchase. If the plan is I'm going to purchase, this is getting me into the game, and in about 5 to 7 years I would like to sell the property and upgrade. You may want to be aware of, does the programs that you utilize have restrictions? Maybe there's a restriction on selling before a certain time frame, or maybe there's a penalty if I sell too early and I got to pay back some of the benefit that I received in assistance. So depending again, what are your plans for the first purchase? You may also want to start thinking about, where do I see myself with this first purchase in 5, 10, 15 years into the future? Now, nobody's going to be 100%, but we might be 70% or 80% sure this is what I would like to do with this first purchase. And the resources available, part of the center's role is to educate the consumer of what available resources are currently funded, how to apply for them, and are there any restrictions. So again, we can make good decisions as informed consumers about which programs make the most sense to utilize. Now, once we've prepared ourselves financially, because really that's what we have control over, our first visit should be with a lender. I know most of you watch HGTV, and we want to look at properties first. That's almost like going to Costco, filling up the cart, and trying to figure out, can I pay for it at the register? So it's usually better, I talk to a lender, right, and I let them know this is what I feel comfortable paying every month, and they can work the numbers and translate that into what can you qualify in a loan amount. You add your down payment, and that will give you the purchase price range that I should be shopping at. Because again, looking at properties first, I can almost guarantee more expensive is going to look better. And that's where we get caught into shopping based on what the lender says I can qualify for and not what I feel comfortable paying for. So the first visit should really be with a lender. Now, pre-qualification, pre-approval. Pre-qualification, in its raw sense, I can call a lender up. I don't even have to meet face-to-face. I can call a lender up and say, this is how much money I make, this is how much debt I have, and my credit score is blank. And they're going to say, okay, based on what you just told me, if everything you said is true, I should qualify based on today's interest rate for an X loan amount and a monthly payment of X amount. That pre-qualification is really worth the air that it's written on. Most lenders do not want to give a verbal pre-qualification, because if I start looking at properties based on that verbal pre-qualification and I find the one that I want to make an offer on, my offer, my purchase contract must be accompanied by a pre-qualification letter. And no lender is going to provide that pre-qualification letter without documentation of my income, my taxes, my bank account statements, my credit. And that's where the lender actually wants us to be more on the pre-approval side. Now, a pre-approval pre-qualification is based on what is documented. And they're basically saying, if everything stays the same as documented, I should be able to qualify for X loan amount with a monthly payment of Y. So really you want to get pre-approved and again, show the lender what's documented. So that way you got a solid amount when you actually make an offer. That'll help you to shop within the right price range. Now, once you get an accepted offer, that's when you're formally going to apply for the mortgage. So let me repeat that. Once you get an accepted offer, that's when you're going to formally apply for the mortgage. So that means I don't apply for a mortgage until I identify the property. Because until I identify the property, the lender doesn't know, is there a maintenance fee or not? What are the property taxes? What kind of insurances are going to be required for this home purchase? So when I get a pre-qualification, that is based on a hypothetical. The lender is saying, I qualify for this amount. Now go find a property that can also qualify for the mortgage. So that means not only does the borrower need to qualify, but the property also has to qualify for the mortgage. So why would the property have to qualify for the mortgage? Well, the property has to qualify for the mortgage because what is the worst case scenario for the lender if they give me a loan? Worst case would be I don't pay. So what is the recourse for the lender? And just like an auto loan, if I don't pay my auto loan, they repossess the vehicle. In this case, it's called a foreclosure. So they take back the collateral. Now, the bank is not in the business of collecting houses. They want to lend money and charge interest. That's the guarantee for them. So what happens is they scrutinize the property because worst case scenario, if Dale doesn't pay his mortgage, they're going to take the property and they're going to sell it. And they want a property that's easy to sell. So what would disqualify a property? Single family house, unpermitted structure. It's not going to appraise for the value with unpermitted structure. If I'm buying a condo, what if the association for that condo is being sued? And what if they lose? And let's say the settlement is $2 million. Well, that $2 million would have to be recouped. How do they recoup it? Raising the maintenance fee and perhaps a special assessment for all owners in the association. So again, the lender doesn't want you to be, they don't want you to be placed in that situation. So that's why not only does the borrower need to qualify for the mortgage, the property also has to qualify for the mortgage. Now, when you get an accepted offer, you have now opened up escrow. So there's two types of escrow. The first one is the escrow company. They're the neutral third party, kind of like a referee between buyer and seller. The escrow company is going to hold the original contract that both buyer and seller has signed. And within that contract, there's timelines. So when you make that offer, you're basically saying, Mr. Seller, if you accept my offer, I'm going to have all of these timelines to do certain things. And the seller within the contract also has things that they have to do. Now, once all of those things are done within the contract timelines, that's when you're going to schedule your loan signing. So escrow is basically making sure both parties are doing what they said they were going to do within the timelines. The second type of escrow is the escrow period. We just mentioned timelines within the contract. The contract defines all of the timelines, and when all of those things are done, we're going to schedule our loan signing. Now, notice I said loan signing, and I did not say loan closing. When you complete all of those timelines, you're going to schedule your loan signing. And I know, again, you folks watch HGTV, right? They sign their documents. Congratulations, they get handed their keys right over the table. That's only on TV. In real life, it's going to take a few more days. So if you remember only this from tonight, remember this. The day that you sign, that night you eat cup of noodle because all you did was sign. The bank did not fund escrow yet with your loan amount. So the day you sign, and I'm going to tell you, it's going to feel like you're done. Everybody's going to say congratulations. The day you sign, that night you eat cup of noodle. Keep everything the same. Don't quit your job. Don't use your credit card and buy your furniture. Don't use your credit card and treat the family to dinner. Keep everything the same. We eat cup of noodle because the very next day the lender is going to verify, is Dale still working? Is his credit still the same? Now, once everything is verified, then the bank is going to fund escrow with my loan amount. Then it needs to record with the Bureau of Conveyance. So usually about 3 days after my signing, that's when it's going to record at the Bureau of Conveyance. Once it records, the state now has on record that I am now the legal owner of the property. That's when my real estate agent will meet the seller's agent to pick up the keys and bring them to me. When I have the keys in my hand, I am now officially closed. Now, continuing services. The Hawaii Homeownership Center, about 90% of our families will buy a condo, and most of them that will not be the end-all property. So we offer a lifetime membership because, again, we know most of our families that purchase aspire probably for a single-family house. But the first purchase is just to start building equity for themselves, leading to future opportunities. So that's why we offer a lifetime membership. And I'm going to mention that I do know of a few families that have purchased 3 times. I'm not going to lie to you. The first one was the toughest one, but it led to future opportunities. And that's why the lifetime membership. So what is the Hawaii Homeownership Center? We are a nonprofit organization affiliated with NeighborWorks America, which is a national organization chartered by Congress. We're one of many across the country that offers the NeighborWorks curriculum. Last count, about 250 across the country associated with NeighborWorks America. So that means I get my certificate in Hawaii and I choose to move to the mainland. And let's say I move to a community that offers down payment assistance for first-time homebuyers. Chances are that program will require me to provide a homebuyer education certificate. And because NeighborWorks America is the largest organization that provides homebuyer education and counseling services, they'll accept my certificate as well. Now, the center has been around since October of 2003. NeighborWorks America has been around since 1978. I don't know why it took so long to come to Hawaii. I myself could have benefited from the classes had I gone through them, but they weren't available at the time. But we're here since October of 2003. Now, we've expanded services. We started on Oahu, and we've expanded services statewide. We have just over 5,000 families statewide that are members with the center. Just over 4,000 have completed the education, the 9 hours of education, as well as working with their counselors. They received their homebuyer education certificate. Now, the last stats we took, out of the graduates, about 69% of the graduates have become homeowners. Now, Hawaii prices can be challenging. Renting in Hawaii can be challenging because rent's not cheap either. But the goal of home ownership can be achieved, and oftentimes it's managing expectations. Again, understanding that first purchase may not be the dream house, but at least we can start building equity for ourselves and not for our landlord. And over time, when it makes sense for us to sell it, we do so, and then we roll the profits over for the upgrade. And that's how most Hawaii families that eventually get to the single family house, that's how they get their 20% down payment or more when they actually purchase up. Another stat of our graduate homeowners, 76% of them within 2 years, they were able to purchase. So again, it's just a matter of getting a hold of our finances, getting a hold of our money management, and then focusing it towards the goal of homeownership. Now, currently on our staff, we have 10 on our staff, and we all believe that everyone has the right to know how to purchase a home. More importantly, we should be aware of our options and choices. Again, you may qualify for down payment assistance, a government grant, first-time homebuyer program, a mortgage credit certificate program. And again, depending on the type of purchase, you might be able to layer some of these programs together. So how do we help you to become a homeowner? First of all, we'll connect you with knowledge through the homebuyer education classes where we take you through the home buying process. Working with your financial coach, they can help you to explore your options and choices, looking at the different assistance programs, understanding what are the requirements, what are the restrictions, Does it make sense? Does it fit to what my plans are with this first purchase? We provide you with tools. The first two classes, money management and understanding credit, both combined form the foundation of financial literacy. And some of the techniques that we discuss in these two classes will also apply towards other financial goals and not just home ownership. And we also provide ongoing support. So even after you become a homeowner, you're still a lifetime member of the center. So we've had families purchase, a few years go by, maybe 5 years go by, and they're noticing that the property is appreciating in value, and they're thinking, you know what, this might be the right opportunity to sell and upgrade. So they contact their counselor to talk strategy or talk about options again. And that's why the lifetime membership. So what are some of the barriers to home ownership that people face? Now, back in 2003, before the center opened its doors, there was a study done to try and figure out what made it so difficult for Hawaii families to become homeowners. And they identified some barriers. Now, some of them real obvious and some of them not so obvious. The center focuses on the top 5 barriers. First, income versus housing costs. Now, we all know how expensive it is to live in Hawaii. And unfortunately, our incomes don't tend to match up with those on the mainland. So one of the primary objectives of the center is to search out resources and connect it to families that qualify for them. And again, these resources could be in the form of down payment assistance, government grants, first-time homebuyer programs, mortgage credit certificate programs, anything to help bridge the gap towards affordability. The next is too much debt. The reality of buying a house in Hawaii is, again, chances are we're going to have to borrow money. You might have a good paying job, money saved up, but if your debt to income ratios are too high, that might derail your efforts in qualifying for that mortgage. So again, this is where the financial coaching can assist you. Lack of down payment. Now, it might have been once upon a time when our parents bought their homes or grandparents bought their homes. They were required to come in with 20% down payment. Now, if we're looking at a $400,000 property, anybody got $80,000 just for the down payment? With Hawaii prices, that can be very challenging. Even coming up with 10% can be very challenging. Just know that there are mortgage programs that require less than 20%. Some programs may require 20, some 10, some 5, some 3.5, some 3%. Some programs will even allow you to borrow 100% financing, meaning no down payment. But it's understanding the different mortgage programs and does it match with what my future plans are for this first purchase. So I should understand, if I use loan program A, what do I need to expect going forward? If I use program B, what do I need to expect? If I use program C, what do I need to expect? So again, the key is not just buying, but being able to keep what I bought. Long-term sustainability. Next one is lack of information on home ownership. And if you're like many of us, where you grew up in an environment where maybe your parents rented or grandparents rented, sometimes we're not exposed to some of the real benefits of home ownership. And one of the biggest benefits of home ownership is the building of wealth, the building of equity. Equity is the value of what I own minus what I owe. Now, back in 2003, when they did this study, they compared equity for Hawaii homeowners to those that rented. And it was found in 2003 that on average, Hawaii homeowners had 12 to 13 times more equity than those that rented. 2/3 of that equity was in the properties that they had purchased. Now, this study was redone mid-2006. Now, if we go back in time and we look at the real estate cycle, what was happening mid-2006? Well, in Hawaii, home prices were skyrocketing. The ending part of 2007, beginning part of 2008, prices kind of tapered off or leveled off at that time. But mid-2006, home prices were skyrocketing. When they redid the study in mid-2006, the disparity of equity was 42 times more for homeowners. And it wasn't because they were saving money, it was because the values of their properties were going up. So again, the key is you buy what you can afford and you sustain it. Again, focusing on long-term sustainability. And lastly, a feeling of hopelessness. You know, when we read in the paper or we hear on the news, the median home prices are at record highs, it can feel hopeless. Remember when $500,000 was a lot of money? Well, guess what? It's still a lot of money. 200,000 is still a lot of money. Just understand what that term means. When you hear median home prices, whether it's for condos or single-family homes, median means half of the properties sold below that number and half of the properties sold above that number. I don't know very many first-time home buyers that weren't born rich, or mom and dad was going to help them out with a $200,000 down payment that buys in that median price range. The key to home ownership is you buy what you can afford, knowing full well this may not be the dream house, but at least I'm not paying somebody else's mortgage. I can build equity for myself, and when it makes sense for me to do so, I sell and I upgrade. And it all starts with good money management. Any financial goal starts with good money management, and that's why we place a heavy foundation on focusing on setting realistic financial goals for ourselves, budgeting to reach those goals, as well as the importance of building reserve levels, emergency funds. Because whether you continue to rent or you become a homeowner, very important to have emergency funds. It's about having control of our money and not letting our money control us. And when we have control of our finances, it leads towards improved credit. Because if I have emergency funds, there's no reason for me to be paying bills late. Early preparation. Now, a lot of people wait for good luck to happen. They get their names selected in the lottery and now they're scrambling to try and save up their down payment or fix their credit. Well, buying a house is not like buying a car. If we were buying a car, we could be driving off the lot tonight. A home purchase is going to take more time. So even if you're not ready to buy right now, there are a lot of things that you can start working on to get you going in the direction that you can make home ownership a reality. So in essence, we're creating our own options and opportunities by getting ourselves financially prepared. And we mentioned some assistance programs. Well, guess what? Those assistance programs are not always funded. So even the assistance, I must be financially prepared in order to take advantage of them. And it's about making home ownership happen. So we need to schedule home ownership to occur. Because again, good luck. That's almost like, again, finishing school, getting married, and buying the nice 4-bedroom, 3.5 bed, and living happily ever after. Again, not that easy. We need to schedule these things to occur. So on this diagram, this is the homebuyer's flow chart to success. So we start off on the top left-hand corner where it says optional orientation. It is optional, but we're glad you dropped in and you get to ask questions. Should you choose to continue with the center, and we're going to show you where you can access the intake form, but you would turn in the personal profile intake form. We also have a bullet list of supporting documents that helps the counselors to determine which assistance programs you could qualify for. They'll also do a financial analysis based on the financial information that you provide. The membership is lifetime. But once all of that information is turned in, there is a membership fee, and it's one time. It's not per year, or you pay the membership fee and you pay separate for classes. It's just a one-time membership, lifetime of $60 per home buying unit. So it's not per person, it's per home buying unit. So if you're single, it would be $60. If you're buying with 4 family members, family of 5 would be under a $60 membership. Now, once all that information is turned in, it'll be inputted into the system. Your file will be handed over to a counselor, and they will contact you to schedule an assessment meeting. Now, this assessment meeting can be before you start classes. It can be after you've attended classes. So it kind of depends on where you are as far as being able to meet with the counselor. Some people like that information after class because the classes give them a foundation of understanding. Some people like to meet before the classes to look over that financial analysis, review some assistance programs, go to the homebuyer education classes, and then meet with the counselor and get a refresher on those programs. So it's kind of up to you. The counseling is unlimited, as much as it takes for you to get prepared. Now, the homebuyer education classes consist of 9 hours. And again, there's no 1 day 9-hour course, but we break them up. So on Oahu, about every 6 weeks, we'll have the series run of the homebuyer education classes. Within that 6-week cycle, the first 2 classes, Managing Your Money and Understanding Credit, will be offered twice. The last 3 classes, Mortgages, Real Estate, and Insurance, will occur once within the 6-week cycle. Now, on the neighbor islands, we typically will schedule a Friday evening and then a Saturday morning. On the Friday evening, you would attend Managing Your Money and Understanding Credit back to back. On the Saturday, you're going to be attending Mortgage, Real Estate, and Insurance. So on that Friday, Saturday, back-to-back days, you would complete 9 hours of education. Now, if you absolutely cannot attend live sessions, we do offer an online option. Now, the online option, it's a little different. It is $15 extra. That's what we get charged to set up your registration. But the classes are broken up into 7 modules, and each module will end in a quiz, and you must pass with 80% or better to move on to the next section. I personally feel that the live classes are a little better because we cover a little bit more information, a little bit more hands-on. We actually look at a purchase contract within the real estate section. We tailor the classes a little bit more towards the Hawaii market. But if you absolutely cannot attend live classes, then it will be an additional $15 to do the online classes. Now, if you take that online classes, you could also sit in on the live sessions as well. So that is an option. Now, that swirly diagram below the homebuyer education is the follow-up financial coaching. So this is where meeting with a financial coach, we're going to apply what we discussed in class, but in confidential meetings with a financial coach. And this is where we're going to apply what we talk about, but specific to your financial situation. And again, those counseling sessions are unlimited. We want to get you down here in the bottom right-hand corner where it says you are mortgage ready. At this point, you've completed the homebuyer education classes. You've met with your counselor. You've already worked on improving reserve levels, worked on improving credit scores. You have a pretty good idea of which assistance programs you would like to utilize. The homebuyer education certificate for most programs is going to be a requirement. This is where we want you to start shopping for your lender, shopping for your real estate agent before looking at homes. Now, your counselor is also there to answer any questions with regards to the home buying process. The mortgage application. Once you've identified a property and made an offer with that pre-qualification, that's when you're going to formally apply for the mortgage. And again, sometimes our clients will call us and say, hey, I got a loan estimate from my lender. Can you help me to understand the breakdown of all of the costs? So your counselor is also there to, again, help you to understand once the clock is ticking. Because again, once you got an accepted offer, based on the contract, there's timelines that things have to occur. So again, you're always free to contact your financial coach. So in the middle of the page, you become a homeowner, you get handed your keys. Real simple on paper. In real life, it's a lot more challenging. And that's why the lifetime membership. And even after you become a homeowner, you're still a member of the center. And that's where we see that second swirly diagram where it says ongoing post-purchase services and coaching. So we also have additional workshops, and it could be anything to do with home ownership. So we've had people come in to talk about living wills and trust. We've had people to talk about life insurance. These topics could be regarding anything to do with home ownership. And it's just an addition to your membership. So it's not an additional cost. It's just part of your membership. So in a nutshell, this flow chart is the pre-purchase education and financial coaching. So now I'd like to talk about some factors that you may want to consider if you're currently renting and thinking about home ownership. And those factors are equity, cost, taxes, control, and stability. First one is equity. And we kind of mentioned equity earlier. If I'm currently renting, I'm helping my landlord to build equity. If I become a homeowner, every month's payment gets me closer and closer to becoming a 100% owner of the property. And when there's market appreciation, all of that free equity is mine. The next one is cost. And this is based on the stigma that a lot of people have that if I become a homeowner, there are a lot more costs involved. And for the most part, that's true. Except when the interest rates are low, and this is the key, I can qualify for those lower interest rates. What I pay in rent compared to what I would be paying in mortgage may not be as different as you might think. Because as property values start appreciating, what do rent values do? They also increase. Next one is taxes. As a renter, you basically got no tax break. As a homeowner, you may be able to save a lot of money in federal and state taxes because all of the interest that you pay on your mortgage up to $750,000 mortgage is tax deductible. The property taxes are tax deductible. And if you don't have 20% down payment, currently that is also, the mortgage insurance is also tax deductible. So when you add up all of these deductions, it's kind of like Uncle Sam saying, congratulations on becoming a homeowner. Here's a tax break. The next one is control. And this is a comparison of restrictions. As a renter, you're held to the restrictions that your landlord sets. As a homeowner, a lot less restrictive, especially if you like animals or you want to redecorate and paint your walls fluorescent orange. As a homeowner, you have much more control. And the last one, and probably the most overlooked out of all of these factors, is stability. If you're constantly worrying about, gee, the landlord wants to raise the rent, and I don't know if I can afford that, but there's nothing else in the neighborhood that's affordable. All of those stresses can impact us in other areas. What if you have to move to a different community? And what if you have kids? Not only do they lose their friends in the neighborhood, but potentially the friends they have at school. So it can impact our relationships. What if moving to a new community adds half an hour for you to get to work in the morning? That might impact my productivity when I get to work. Home ownership offers a lot more stability. A 30-year fixed mortgage will know the bulk of my housing payment for the next 30 years will be fixed. And in essence, when we own our own properties, we start taking ownership of the communities that we live in. We start caring about how well the schools do in our district. We start caring about who's talking loud at 1 o'clock in the morning in the corner of the street. We start caring about how nice or how ugly, for that matter, my neighbor's yard looks because it impacts my property value. So when we start taking ownership of the communities that we live in, it really benefits all of us. So steps to making it happen. You can become a member with the Hawaii Home Ownership Center. Get educated about the home buying process. Again, this is probably the biggest purchase in your life up until this point. I wish I went to the classes myself. And again, we provide homebuyer education, taking you through the steps of the home buying process, working with your financial coach. They can help apply what we discuss in class, but specific to your financial situation. And ultimately, we're preparing ourselves financially because that's what we really have control over, our own finances. We can learn about assistance programs working with your financial coach, right? Learning about what are the requirements, what are the income restrictions. Do they make sense to use these particular programs in accordance to what my plans are for the future? Exploring options and choices, again, working with your financial coach. Then it's going to be visiting with a lender, right? Getting pre-qualified, pre-approved, always focusing on affordability. And then we ultimately create our own opportunities for home ownership. Now, at the Hawaii Homeownership Center, we do require membership. The membership is lifetime. All course material will be provided for you, so all you got to do is show up. The homeownership counseling is unlimited. Most families, at minimum, we typically would require 1 or 2 sessions with a counselor. And some people will, they'll just say, okay, I know what I need to do. And they start working on improving their status. Some people will want to meet with their counselor every month or maybe quarterly. It's up to you. The counseling is unlimited. Ultimately, we want you to be comfortable about your biggest purchase in your life. Now, some of the costs involved. Now, the center, as one of the supporting documents, we need a credit report. Now, we can pull a credit report. It is a tri-merge credit report with 3 scores. It is a soft pull because it's for housing counseling purposes. But I recommend to save the cost. Right now, it's $26.66 per report. Save that $26.66. If you go to annualcreditreport.com, you can pull that report yourself for free. And if you pull that report yourself, it does not impact your credit score. So I'd recommend save the $26, pull your own credit report. Now the membership, again, $60 per home buying unit, it's lifetime. So you pay that once, lifetime membership. If you're choosing the option to do online education, it's $15 additional. So if you do the online education, it's going to be a total of $75 lifetime membership. And I noticed that Michael put the website to pull your own credit report. So again, you can save that $26, pull the free reports. Now the free reports is without scores. We don't need the scores. You only need the score if you're applying for credit. The reason why we want that report is because if there are any errors on your credit report, we want to help you to fix them. Because you don't want to find out when you apply for the mortgage that there are errors because you may not have enough time to correct them. So again, working with your counselor early, we can help you to start fixing them. And most importantly, we need your time and your energy. We need you to attend the classes, do the homework assignments, and meet with your financial coach. We can show you how, we cannot do it for you. So is the Homeownership Center for you? Why prepare early? Because good money management works with all economic climates, especially when times are difficult. We can help you to create opportunities and options. We can connect with available resources. Again, you may qualify for down payment assistance, government grants, first-time home buyer programs, mortgage credit certificate programs. And ultimately, we take control of our future. We make homeownership happen. And lastly, homeownership benefits all of us. When we take ownership of the communities that we live in, it really does benefit all of us. So now I'm going to show you that video. And this is 3 families. They're going to be talking about their experience going to the homebuyer education classes, working with their financial coach, as well as a little bit about their home purchase.
Well, we needed to do something for Tyler and I. We needed to have a home of our own. And I couldn't see paying rent. You know, I thought that home ownership was a really good thing to do. And one day we were looking at the newspaper and we saw the ad for Plantation Apartments, and they were going to be building it. And so we came out here once, twice a month just to look at the model home. And we decided just give it a shot, see what happens, and the only thing they could tell us is no. And the classes were very informative. We learned a lot from that. We learned about budgeting and how to shop our loan and everything, and the counselors at the Home Ownership Center. My counselor at the time was a really good counselor. If you're committed to it and you work really hard at it, you can be a happy homeowner just like we are.
We were renting an apartment in Makiki for a while, and it was getting to that point where we wanted to get our own place of our own, because our landlord we didn't want to deal with the landlord and paying rent. We realized that paying monthly rent was a lot, you know, every month pay a rent when it could be going to a home for mortgage. Even at that time, we weren't sure we were qualified or even if we could afford one, but just kept chugging through, and then eventually they told us, oh, we can. It's like, oh, we can afford one. Hawaii Home Ownership helped us. You learn from the peers in the class, and the class is a great size. If we didn't go to, let's say we didn't take the class, what would have been different?
We wouldn't know where to start.
We wouldn't know where to start, and we wouldn't have been buying a house so soon. It would have probably been a couple more years, or we would have just brushed it off or something.
I'm just so blown away. I've never seen anything. I thought when you shop for a house, you just kind of drive around a certain neighborhood and you just go, I'll pick that one.
We started, paying down our debt before we came here in July to Hawaii Home Ownership. But then before that, we're also trying to pay down our debt because we knew that was something that was going to be talked about, and we were very scared, and we didn't want to be called out on it.
Well, I know I was really afraid to face what I really had, because I knew I had it, but you kind of just push it off to the side, and if I just pay a little bit and I don't look at it and I pay it. But that part of it really was the mirror in front of me, okay, no, this is what you have, and I'm honestly thankful for that, because if I didn't really take a look at it, then it'd probably be still with me here in 20 years from now, because I wouldn't be looking at it. So I guess I wouldn't call it being called out, but more just being a company, helping us face our debt, that's this big monster, It
was definitely a lifestyle that we had to change, and we had to really be cautious of how we spend and what we spend. From last year, January actually, January until now, we had paid off a tremendous amount. I want to say $10,000 worth of debt.
Yeah,
and
due to the program.
Due to the how we spend and how we've been managing our money, moving it, shifting it. We also saved $12,000 since July.
Yeah.
It was a real big change for us.
Yeah, it was a big change, but it was worth it. It was tough in the beginning, but I wouldn't change it for anything. Yeah. Thank you guys.
Hawaii Home Ownership Center hooked us up with some programs, or at least informed us about programs that we could qualify for and get some assistance with, closing costs, mortgage payment plans and whatnot.
And so our experience with the Home Ownership Center was just unbelievable. It was really good.
If you want to do something, might as well do it right, so I'll just follow someone who does it right.
So we go back to that question again. So why is home ownership important to you? Then again, it could be for various reasons. I'm tired of paying rent. I want to build equity for my future. Or maybe to help my kids out when they become adults and they would like to purchase their homes. Or it might be because Rusty needs more time, more room to run around. So this concludes our orientation. We do have our contact information. Our main office is on Oahu. you can visit our website. We have some information there. You can actually get to the intake form and download it. In fact, you can also fill it out online from our homepage. It's going to be listed. There's going to be a Join Now feature on that homepage.